There are plenty of benefits to outsourcing your chatting, freeing up time to make content, hopefully less stress. But if you're willing to put in the time to find and train your own chatters, you're going to have a lot more control and transparency with what's going on your account. It can be pretty difficult to find the time to do this as a solo creator with all the different things you need to juggle to make it work. But hopefully this video is going to make it as straightforward as possible. Now, to get started with your first chatter, you've got a decision to make. Do you want someone with prior experience or no prior experience? There's an argument for both. So some people want someone who's got a bit of platform experience so they can get started a little bit faster. And then some people want a completely blank slate that they can train from the ground up with no past bad habits or anything like that. For your situation, I would probably opt for someone with a bit of past experience. Doesn't mean they're going to be good and that you can just leave them on your account from the start. Very rarely is that the case. But you will at least not have to go, oh, this is the vault. This is, it's just that, right? So in terms of where to actually get them from, I've tried to give you a few options that are available at the time of this video being made. Here are some Telegram groups. Here are some subreddits. These are where you would get experienced chatters, generally, right? Just put out an ad saying, just being honest, looking for some chatters, good environment, ongoing training, blah, 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 right? Just make it long, friendly, honest. I wouldn't talk about pay structure and stuff like that yet, but just experiment with a few. Now, if you want to look for a completely brand new VA to train as a chatter, look at Fiverr or Upwork. They usually put out their own ads. You can put out an ad. Again, it all comes down to just being transparent, honest, and that kind of thing. If this video is older now or you just can't read my amazing handwriting, you can DM me on Instagram and I'll send you a more detailed, updated list of places you can get chatters from. Instead of doing a bunch of one-on-one interviews, we're going to save you heaps of time by just doing 2 sets of group interviews. This is how you can structure them. Get together 5 to 15 of your candidates on a Zoom call. And if they can't show up to this on time or they have power or Wi-Fi issues, I would take that as a red flag. Something to note, if the idea of hosting a call with 15 people sounds terrible to you, you can get someone else to do it, right? And you can just watch the recording. It doesn't really matter that much. This is more of a personality test. And the reason for that is, at face value, a person who is more friendly, talkative, funny, they're generally going to be able to convey that over messages better and be more engaging, right? Not to say that there's not introverted people that are really great chatters, but it's a good way to work if you want to find a chatter as fast as possible. You just want to ask them these questions one at a time. What do you do with a new fan? How do you transition? So you want to go from small talk into sexting. How do you do that? How do you start to sell someone? How do you sext and excite fans? And what happens when someone doesn't buy? The reason that we ask those questions is because they give you a really good idea of their strategy without getting into the nitty-gritty of everything. For your second group interview, just choose 3 to 4 standout candidates from the first one and get them on another call. The purpose of this call is to set your expectations clearly and give them a bit of information about your strategy and see how well they can apply it in a mock test. Don't worry, it's simpler than you think. I find the best way to set expectations and get chatters to do what I want is to use a set of values. Just choose a few things that align with how you want things done and then use that as the backbone of your training and everything, right? Here's a few examples. You could have 3 values being, we try to get money out of everyone on the account, think long-term, always be thinking big picture, and communication is number 1. Tell me everything as soon as it happens, for example. So you want to go through your values on the call first and make sure they understand that and they're okay with that, right? This is where you get into your strategy. So to outline your strategy, I would recommend going over what you do for each of those 4 things that you asked them about in the first interview, right? So explain to them what you do with a new subscriber. Explain to them how you transition from small talk to sexting. Explain how you sext and keep them excited, that kind of thing. And then explain what you do when someone doesn't buy something or objection handling. After the call, the final part of the vetting process is doing a mock test, which is essentially like role-playing chatting, right? And all you're really doing is seeing how well they can apply these 4 parts of your strategy. That's why it's really important to, give them detail, give them a few examples, stuff like that. You also get to see how good their English actually is when they're writing and how fast they are. For the mock test, you can build it out yourself if you like. And I know I just said this, but if you DM me on Instagram, I'll send you through my entire mock test that explains exactly how to do it, how to run it and all that. It's kind of difficult to explain it in this video, so do that if you like. My little light broke. That's sad. Once you've chosen the chatter that you feel is the best fit, it's almost time to get them trained up. But before that, just make sure that you've organized the vault. Put things in clear categories. If you use sexting scripts, then put them in their own folder. I would recommend using something like BuddyX so you can label your content, because chatters can do some pretty dumb stuff like send custom to someone or something like that. It's got their name in it. Just trust me. Teach the first chatter to upload and sort content. If you don't have someone doing that already, it's going to really help you if you can just send them a Google Drive link and they can deal with it, right? And then for the live training, you want to start with them on the busiest shift. That can be 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever, it's really up to you. But don't leave them unsupervised at first. They may tell you that they'll be fine. If you really care about your account, just spend a week with them, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Live training is the best way to get chatters to progress fast. You basically sit on a call with them and give them feedback as they're chatting. If you do this right, you won't have to do it for long at all before you see improvements. Before you start, make sure that they understand where all your content is. Run them through each category, how your sexting scripts work. Just make sure they're familiar with all of that. Get on a call with them where they can share their screen. I would use Discord because it's a good free option that they probably use already. As you're live training, you just want to be giving super fast feedback. That's the trick. Fast feedback. Every time they do something right, that's good, that's good, that's good. Wrong, stop, do it again, stop, do it again, right? That's how you really ingrain it in their head, so you don't have to sit and do this for weeks, right? You want to try to focus on the biggest problem that you see in their chatting, or the biggest few, right? Let's say that they are sending dry replies like, haha, okay, and things like that. They might not realize it's bad, but that's going to lead to people leaving you on red, which is a big problem. So focus on fixing that problem. All your energy should be, we're going to fix this. We're going to make sure that you don't send dry replies, and focusing on the one problem will make them get better. People can't actually learn that much stuff at the same time. So the less you can teach, the more they're going to progress on those things you are teaching them. And just remember through all of this that they aren't you. They will do things a little bit differently. They might do some things, they might not pick up on some things as fast as you did, right? But you just need to be patient, stick to the fast feedback, and try to focus on as few important problems as you can, and you'll start to see results. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, I'd love it if you could leave this video a like, helps me out a lot. If you want more videos like this to help with your chatter training journey, consider subscribing, share this video with your friends if you think it'll help them. And if there's any videos that you want me to make that would help you with a problem you're facing, leave it in the comments and I'll try to get to all of them. Thank you. Aim to do live training with your first chatter for at least 1 week. If after that you're still not fully confident in leaving them on the account by themselves, what you can do is the next week, just spend half the time live training them. So half the time live training, half the time having them on the account by themselves. Once they are on the account by themselves, don't just leave them in the dark and forget about them. Keep answering their questions, keep checking in and giving them feedback, telling them who to try. Just make them feel like they are being watched and you do care what they're doing. So now you've got your first chatter trained up, but what about getting a second and third? To do that, you can do something called piggyback training to save yourself some time. Follow the same hiring process for getting your second chatter. Either do a new set of interviews, or if there were any other standout candidates from the first batch, just reach out to them. And you want to put chatter 1 and 2 on together on the same shift. And I didn't mention this before, but I would recommend just having 3 8-hour slots. That way it's really easy to have full coverage with 3 chatters. And essentially, what we want to do is replicate what you did with the first chatter, live training them, and get them to do that with the second chatter. So what I've done is I've put the timestamp here of the start of that section with live training. So show that to the first chatter and get them to literally do everything that you did with the second one. Once they feel that the second chatter is getting competent and they can be trusted on the account by themselves, I would just move the second chatter 4 hours forward or 4 hours back, right? So they're half in that chatter's shift and half on their own. And slowly move them out over time until you've got 16 hours of coverage. Throughout this whole process, I would go for a hands-off, nose-in approach. What I mean by that is keep an eye on everything and make sure they know that they're being watched, right? Make sure that the first chatter is actually training the second one, and if you see things go wrong, try to tell them first and see if they'll correct it. That way they won't need you there all the time. And throughout the whole process, try to refer to and enforce your core values all the time, right? Whatever you decided them to be, make sure that they're aware of what they are and they're acting in accordance with them. As you get bigger, it'll make a big difference. I'd continue doing 3 hours of live training with each chatter per week, just to keep them really sharp. But primarily, your training will consist of chat reviews. And a chat review is just a video of you going through their chats, giving them feedback. I just do one review per chatter per week, nothing crazy, just 10 to 20 minutes, and you can record it on Loom, which is just a screen recording software. Much like the live training, try to really focus on the one biggest area that needs improvement, the one thing that if they were to get better at would improve their game the most, rather than nitpicking on all the small details. To look at what to actually review, look in notifications where you can see sales, when new people subscribed, or you can even look at when people didn't buy and see how they're objection handling. I like to set weekly goals in the reviews and then track their progress with the next review. I find that they actually like the reviews because it helps them to get better, as long as you don't just use it as a means to scream at them and take out your anger. Also, once you get big enough, if there's a chatter that's doing really well, you can even pay them to do the reviews themselves. One of the most important things is having a really solid compensation structure for your chatters. That's because it's going to affect your retention, how long you can keep them for, and their long-term motivation. Like how long will they continue to perform? I'm not just saying pay them as much as you possibly can. What I'm saying is make the compensation favorable in a variety of ways. Make it stable, give them a base rate so even if the traffic dies off, they're still going to eat. Reward effort, give them a commission on sales and tips so they actually want to go out and earn for you. I like giving them a consistency bonus. That's saying, well, if you hit this target every day in a row for 7 days, I'll give you a bonus. Something that's really underused, but it works really well, is gamifying it, making it a game. There's plenty of ways you can do this, but let's say in the reviews you set weekly challenges. For example, you want them to send more detailed greetings, right, to get more people to engage. If they send you screenshots of them doing that, they get a ticket, and that goes in a prize raffle. And then you can do some spin the wheel thing, and they can win things like a gift card or day off or extra commission for a day, anything like that. Just make it more interesting. As you're training your chatters, you'll realize they make a lot of mistakes, and you'll probably pick up on a lot of them at first. But there are so many mistakes that go unnoticed by a lot of people, but they're super detrimental. That's why I made an entire video about 5 of the most fatal chatting mistakes that they're probably making. So you can watch that. That's there. Watch it. Enjoy the rest of your day.